we'll call the meeting to order.
Question before we start.
Pardon?
Question before we start.
Yes, go ahead.
Number 4, closed session.
That's not gonna go.
We're not gonna discuss that?
No.
Okay. I wasn't sure what that was.
Yeah, that was put in there just in case.
What it was.
On conversation.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you got some questions, Carl?
Okay, yeah, I've got a list. On the new radios that you got, how'd that transition? I assume you've got it put in.
No, still waiting for a license.
I see.
There was an issue with stepping on another area, the frequency, so they had to reapply.
I see. Okay. Food service with Clark County, you might just briefly highlight that, how that's going.
It's going good.
Yeah. Okay. And what's the process? What are you doing with it?
Well, same thing I told you last time we talked about it. I mean, what are you looking for? That's what I need to know now.
What are you doing with it? I mean,
when we discussed this before, I said that Clark County is going to be buying the food from us.
okay, are they?
Delivered to them. Yes.
Okay.
They are.
All right.
You got your first check in for yesterday,
About
for
2800.
December, which was partial.
What?
Was it, well, was it a full month?
It was whatever we billed them for.
Well, no, but I meant, I didn't
Should've
mean
been
it
for
was
all
a
of
partial
December.
pay, yeah. I just mean I didn't know whether all meals, you delivered meals for the full month. You
Yes.
got whatever you billed, you got. So
That's
we
the
got our first check.
$2,900.
Right.
So you've done it a month then?
Mhm.
Okay. Sometime, I think the board would like is like a breakdown on what the cost of the meals are, what the cost is to us, including transportation, labor, all costs involved in it, what that price is.
Well, let's stop there right now. I didn't want to bring this up right now, but I'm going to. I'll give you each a copy. You give that to Mr. Pointer. Internal operations of the jail and the sheriff's office belongs to me.
Right.
I don't have to tell you anything what I am doing based on the opinion of the Attorney General's office. If you like to meet outside sometime and ask me some questions, yes. But when it comes to budgets, funding, it belongs to you. When you give me my money, bottom line, I spend it.
Right.
Period.
Correct.
That's all I'm going to say about the food service.
But we would like to know what the costs are.
I
Where do we approve
told
the
you the
bills?
cost. You get the cost. When I give you the bills for the meals, you know what it is. You're dealing into my internal operation.
He's actually given us the cost of the meals twice at 2 other meetings before we actually.
I haven't seen anything, involving the labor costs involved with it and all that.
It's an internal operation, Carl. You should know that.
Well, I know that, but I just want to see what the costs are. I'm not
You
questioning
get
it.
you get the cost, Carl. When you pay the bill, you see it. I break out what I pay for my meals. I break out what Clark County pays.
I don't see that.
We haven't said anything about Clark County. I haven't.
Who paid the bill? All right, they submitted a bill. I gave it to you. Well, I submitted the bill to Clark County.
We'll talk about it some other time.
We should.
Yeah.
All right.
Next question, please.
Okay. I talked to Jamie Littleton about an employment contract that the city has, with their new hires.
Mhm.
And I know we've had some turnover in correctional officers. And sometime I've talked to him, the city's clerk's office has a copy of it. And we need to get that and see if we can implement that for the county. And basically, an employment contract on training costs is the main concern.
I've already discussed that with myself. I'm looking at before we even went to them. Because we have had a high turnover rate of correctional officers going elsewhere. going to another jobs, moving
Right.
themselves up.
Right.
I have it set now where our last person is signing a contract with us that 2 years minimum, that we will, if he leaves, he has to prorate all of his costs,
Right.
equipment, training, etc.
Right.
So we're not, we've already looked at that.
Yeah. And you've got him signed up
He's
for
gonna
that.
sign it when he gets back. I wanna wait till his training's over.
Mhm.
But he's still under probation.
Right.
Now, if it's legal, it's another issue. How legal, because a lot of people say that, attorneys will say that employment contracts like that aren't legal, and they won't hold up a pilot. So,
But it's better than not having.
but not having it all is correct.
And at least there's intent there.
And then we're talking about it, besides that, it's a union issue. I'm sure I haven't talked to the union about it yet. We may not even be able to do it. So,
Right.
Also on the car lease, I know we put it on hold last time. What's your,
Not a lease, it's gonna be a purchase, but this is the way they drew it. This is the way you drew it up over the last 06, 07, and 10.
Mhm.
Right.
That's the way you drew it up. So I can stretch, either I pay it all up front, or we pay it through the 3 years.
What's the cost of it?
The vehicle,
Yes. And
29, out the door, ready.
And what's your intent to, you want to outright purchase it, or do you want to lease it, you know, what?
I never lease a vehicle, it's gonna be an outright purchase, just like the
Just
last
all of
three-
it up
Just like
front?
the last 3.
Well, I don't know how the last 3 were done. I wasn't on the board.
Yeah, same.
I believe Mr. Bergen's vehicle was bought by the business people.
All right.
The one for Lusader and was purchased on this lease program, and the one for roads.
Mhm.
And they're coming up, roads is being paid off this time around. So,
So is this going to be spread over 3 years,
it'd be a 3-year lease,
3-year lease?
just like the other vehicles were. I'm just saying, I mean, it seems like you set a precedence by the county board by doing this. You got 3 of them, 3-year leases, 3.
That doesn't mean we have to do it this time.
Well, again, we're going back to internal operations. If you'll read that about equipment,
But I disagree with that because it
you
affects,
disagree with what the Attorney General's opinions are. Is that what you're telling me?
no, I think the county board needs to know what's going on because it involves spending money. Whether you're spending 29,000 this year, whether you're going to spend that 29
I'm
over
not
3
spending
years.
29 this year, it's over a 3-year period.
Well, that's all I'm asking.
And that's what I said.
Yeah.
Why would you think I would try to do a lease agreement like this, a lease purchase agreement, if I was not gonna spread it over the time? Like we've done in the past. I would not do that. If I was not, otherwise I never would even put this on the table.
All I'm saying, just so the board knows what's going on.
Yeah, all right.
That's all, communication, that's the key.
Well, that would be a novel idea. So,
Okay. The chairman of the Building and Grounds Committee has had several complaints about the cleanliness of the courthouse. And he wanted us to bring this up at the meeting and make you aware of that we've had complaints and you can deal with it.
I would. It'd be nice to have more help though, but since Bob's one-man person, and he's working both places back and forth doing things,
Right.
so I will let Bob know what areas.
I've heard restrooms, women's restrooms specifically, and the floor. The floors, I think,
Well, we're
maybe the
trying,
rotunda, maybe I
we're trying to get the stripper back from the school so they come in
And
there.
I
on
mentioned
weekends.
to Ben that you were supposed to have the school system come in.
Yeah, Bob is trying to come in on Saturdays and Sundays to go ahead and take care of the floors when there's less traffic.
Mhm.
Now, as far as the bathrooms and things goes, if we get the community people, community service people, I want them over there working too.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, I noticed I went up there and kind of walked through it. The biggest thing I noticed is, there's a lot of little corners, little bitty, and every one of them corners is dirty. And people see that, and I think that's what somebody's brought up, yeah.
Okay.
And of course, it's just got dirty over this last year, I'm sure.
Then also, the building committee wants to set up a meeting with you to come up to the jail and see what repairs have been done and what the future for this year, what the intent is to do for this year.
Be a good idea. Because we got a worm issue right now, too.
A what?
Sanitation issue with the worms.
Yeah.
Worm lava.
I was up there yesterday and checked that out, and I had a phone call, so I come up. And I thought, oh boy, we don't need that, and they was threatening to call the suction.
Can, when you go up there for that, can you look at what they were talking about as far as the computer room and the security of the computer room at the same time?
Yes.
That would probably be a good idea if you guys looked at that rather than.
Okay. But it looked like you've got it under control up there, because I
do.
mean, it didn't smell, it wasn't bad, I didn't see anything.
Bleach kills a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah.
If you guys haven't been up there lately, it's there's a lot of changes. Very pleasant.
And DOC will be here next month
Okay.
for their annual inspection.
I've got one more thing, but I'll see if you guys have anything else.
The only question I got, what's the plans on that water leak in that still? Have you got somebody that's gonna work on that, or?
We have the plumbers keep coming out. Which one is this? Is this a new one now?
No, it's
Or
where
the
the
one you're
worms
talking
are
about, the
coming
worms
out.
are-
Yes, yeah.
That's come back out. I'd like to buy a new one, but hey,
Hey, I know what you mean.
$3,000 is
But it's,
kind of expensive for a
we-
toilet.
We do have a maintenance account that you can probably, because we don't need somebody causing us a big problem over that.
Well, I
for
talked to
sure.
Ben about the maintenance account to see what he's got,
Right,
as far as the toilet.
but,
I mean, I can't speak for him, what he might recommend, but that's who you need to talk to about the toilet.
but it's not as bad as what it was led on to be.
Well, it's big.
But I mean, it isn't good, you're right, you're right. Okay, you done? Are you,
Except for the one item that will wait till last.
right? How about you, Jeff?
Have you got anything that hadn't already been mentioned?
When do you want to go up to the committee?
Who's on the building committee?
Ben, Kevin, and myself.
Yeah.
I got a full calendar tomorrow. And I'm not gonna be, I won't be there Friday, so it'll be next week.
Well, you need a 48-hour notice anyway.
Are you meeting as a committee?
I
Yes.
assume the building committee would, I'm not part
All
of
right.
that. I just think you need to get a hold of Ben and set it up. See
All
what
right.
works for everybody.
I'd like to come up and see, because it looks
That's
a lot
fine.
better up there.
As long as it's posted,
Right.
anybody can
You have anything, Jeff? Jeff?
come. Either Jeff and I are good.
No.
Well, the one item, I know that why Jeff's here, is on 911, on the reimbursement for that second chair. Of course, everybody's aware that last December, I think maybe, they put on hold the payment to the county for reimbursement for that. And I think, my understanding of in talking to some of the board members, there's two concerns. One, what the actual costs for that, filling that second chair, what the total costs involved, what they're being billed for, and also the fact that some of the time, and I have no idea how much, but some of the time the shift is not being filled, that second chair on the evening shift, my understanding. So that's what we need to come up with, that figure. And I think they've relayed to us that they want, because, they're willing to pay whatever the cost is to have that second chair filled.
Can I comment here on that?
My
Oh, sorry.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well, so I think when I first took over office, I ran what it would cost for a second chair, I mean, with benefits, and I gave it to you,
Right.
which was about 54,000 some
right,
change.
is more than what they were being billed, which
Right.
is 48,000.
Because it said in whatever the agreement was, that they would pay the cost,
Additional costs.
salary plus benefits.
Right.
And they haven't done that in years. Now, granted, as everybody keeps telling me, dispatchers belong to me. 911 really does not belong to me. You're using my people to answer calls. If it gets down to it too much longer, I guess 911, since I'm on that board too, that maybe they should have their own people answering their calls. And I'll just pull my dispatchers and have them do other work.
Mhm.
Because it's not right if they keep coming back that they're not going to pay. Now, I would say a good 85% of the calls are not for the sheriff's office. They're not county calls. It's ambulance.
Of the 911 calls.
Of the 911
Yeah.
calls, if they tie them up.
Mhm.
It has nothing really to do with us.
Right.
I wouldn't even say it might be 90% of the calls belong to those three entities, not us.
Right.
Now, granted, they do sit around, the dispatchers do sit around from time to time, nothing twiddling thumbs maybe, because there's some things that there's nothing going on, but when it happens, it happens.
Right.
All crap breaks loose. So, I know they poo-pooed the idea of having a centralized dispatching area. I still think that was, even the training that I attended this past weekend, several sheriffs that said the same thing. They went from dispatching to centralized with all the county
Right.
entities in there. And they said it's the best thing that happened. They came up with, I said, how do you do your paying? Well, county pays half and all the entities pay the other half. Some say 911 pays half and the county and the other entities pay half. So maintain it that way.
I know that is something that our board has discussed, because I know the 911 tried it without any success, and we're going to proceed with that to get a committee formed to look at it, do a study of it, see if it's feasible for all the different organizations that are involved in it.
If you go back to your saying that the second chair is not being filled, well, sometimes people do take off.
Right.
I can't get somebody right in there to fill that chair, but again, we're talking overtime. It is cheaper to have a staff member than it is to keep paying overtime. Coles County was in the paper about the correctional officers. They were able to hire two and show the figures that it's cheaper what they were paying in overtime to go ahead and hire two correctional officers. So they keep putting this overtime out. I agree, it's the same thing for us. This thing with 4 officers is not going to cut it too much longer. We've had too many incidents happening. It may have been different when you were sheriff than it is now. Times have changed. We got a different criminal, a different mindset. You got younger people that feel that they're entitled to so much in life and not be out working instead, but they come in and start crashing. So they come in with health problems, but they want to commit suicide. I've had 3 attempts this year, 4 attempts since I've been in office. So,
Well, regardless of what chair is filled and everything else, it is not appropriate for 911 not to pay anything.
I agree 100%.
Unappropriate.
And based on
And
that
the state
opinion
law,
that I
the
read,
Attorney General's opinions that I've given Carl, and the lease, the only thing that the lease that I've been able to find, the original lease signed on the 15th of July, 98, you modified the amount of money for the lease, but nothing else was modified in that agreement that I've been able to find. Now, I've had people say that it's been agreed to, but there is nothing signed by either organization that says it is. So I think we need to really look at how it's done. The county cannot afford to subsidize everything. We just can't do it. Times have changed. So we need to get together, all entities, know it's a tough nut, and crack it, and work out what's best for the citizens of this county and what makes sense fiscally. And I don't know what form that'll take, but we need to all be flexible. We need to all work together and figure this out. Because it can't continue the way it is.
See, right now, you say they're not paying for the second share. Well, I have the money in my budget that I requested, which you gave me, that does cover the second share for the rest of the year.
Well, but we also have income on the
You're
other side.
supposed to have
It's
income
supposed to be
coming in, which you're not getting.
Which the or the Attorney General says it's more than appropriate to do it a number of different ways to figure out how to pay for 911 and dispatching in general for a county. We just need to apply those principles based upon common sense, political realities in this county, and make it happen. That's all I mean, I don't have obviously care about the money. I just want to figure it out where everybody has given something and everybody gets something.
Sheriff, what other counties in the area have mutual dispatching right now that you know of?
Well, doesn't Clark County use it? I won't say Douglas County, even though they have their own.
Goals.
Coles,
Crawford, Champaign.
Almy,
Vermillion,
Vermillion. I mean, they got a separate
Well,
one
there's
for
a
both.
number of different examples where we might even have the clerk request documentation on how they're doing it. Now, just because they're doing it one way, and we've done something one way forever, doesn't make it right, but you might be able to come up with something that'll work here.
I do know the city and the county of Vermillion County, they split it. They're all the same, police and county in the same building, but dispatching for telecommunications is in the basement, I believe. Several in Indiana do it that way.
Well, right now, if the 911 was reimbursing us like they have been, we'd still be spending $160,000 a year for dispatching. And that is not appropriate. We cannot continue to pay $160,000 a year for dispatching 10% of what we produce.
You're basing that off of the total salaries of dispatching, are you not?
Right, I am.
Yeah.
We pay $202,000 roughly for dispatchers, roughly. We're getting $48,000, so I'm just rounding.
No,
okay?
I'm just-
So we're basically paying $160,000, but we're not getting anything right now. So it's costing the county $202,000.
Of course, roughly what percent of the calls that come in, total calls that the sheriff's department, the dispatchers answer are 911 calls?
No, so again, no one's ever said I'm done a study. I mean, at least I haven't yet. I'm not sure we can go back and count them on the CAD system or not. But again, I just know that 911 calls are not the county call, the
Right.
sheriff's office.
Right.
That
And
maybe-
again, the Attorney General's opinion is that 911 has to maintain 24-hour service. The Sheriff's Department does not. Okay? We do not have to,
Sheriff's office is supposed to be open from 8 to 5. by
okay?
state.
So somewhere in between, we need to bring in other agencies. I mean, 911 can't afford $202,000 either. So, and I don't mean to be misinterpreted that way. Everybody has to afford it,
Right.
and it has to become more efficient.
I know back when I was sheriff, it seems to me like it was 10 or 15% of the calls were 911, roughly. That's just off the top of my head. We try to keep track of it.
Well, the Attorney General, in his opinion, offers guidance to how to do that.
Right.
And given that they have to, and given that they're doing other things, there's several different ways to prorate the
That's
system.
why I think it's a good idea to get this committee together and look at the options.
I think there
Yeah,
is
very
as much
good.
political and regular support for it as there's ever been, and it should be done.
But back on the, I guess the original, what I brought up, we need to determine what the costs are, with the current salaries and make sure everything is being inputted into the cost to the county. There's hidden costs, not just the outright salary itself. and addressed, according to what I've been told, they want, if at all possible, even if it means overtime, the second chair filled. That's what I've been told by several members.
It's fine right now, my second chair is filled. And they're not paying for it.
They do need a physical bill sent out by Vicki every month. They need to have they need to have bills generated just like the other departments do.
When did they discuss that at the 911 meeting? They wanted a physical bill from the sheriff's office.
That's what I understand. Am
I don't remember
Dave?
talking about that.
We never talked about it in the meeting, but the reason we didn't pay administrative fees, lease, or the dispatching is so we don't have a physical bill or an agreement. And we've asked numerous times for that, still haven't done it.
And I know the salary for the dispatcher was on a quarterly basis, if I remember right.
Right.
And I don't know whether we want to continue it on quarterly or whether we do it monthly. I know they only meet every other month.
Whatever works. I mean,
We are
that's,
more than willing to pay our share. We're just asking for it in writing so that we have it.
and from an audit and a fiscal responsibility, it's the best way. Now, Carl and I have looked into the administrative fees, and that has to do with health insurance, and we're looking into the aspect of the electrical. And so, I mean, there's some utilities included in that. We need to nail that down. You can't just keep charging the same things. That fee floats. I mean, from year to year, expenses change, and we need to follow the agreement. And if there's a change in insurance, which we had that dropped it $100, then we shouldn't still be billing you $600 if we should be billing you $500. I mean, I'm just using that. But we need to get that done, and that will be generated by the clerk's office. And then Carl's coming up with the other agreement, I believe, with the state's attorney, and then that mechanism will be created, and then you will have a bill. And I say monthly, whatever works.
It doesn't matter to us.
So we'll just have a paper trail. I mean, it's just good thing to have.
Is that
Yeah,
take care
there's
of
no
your
one
concerns?
on our board that I know of that has an issue with paying. We're more than willing to pay, we just want an agreement or something in writing.
And the accountants, I guess, Nan met with us when we
Yeah,
briefed
the
the
accountant-
accountants, and
the accountant went through
that
everything we
system
have.
is being dealt with. Carl, you were here, right? When we met with the accountants?
Oh, in that first meeting?
Yeah.
All right.
Just so it's noted then, I'm assuming that we will give you a bill, we'll take it to 911, we'll send it to them, every 2 months for payment. I guess it's 2 months or a quarter, whatever it
Whatever you
is.
two agree to. It can be every 3 months.
It could be
That doesn't make
yearly,
a
we
whole-
don't care.
Yeah.
But this is
whatever works.
this is moving forward from something that, it said that it's never done before.
It hasn't been, Ed, but.
And it has been
it's
okay
something-
before, but since it's now falling on my shoulders, and it seems like everything else is, it never has done it in the past, we will do it for you.
Well, our concern is that you stated that 48,000 wasn't enough. We don't have a problem, just bill us for, and show us that you need more.
And it's the
I
right
said that
thing to
again,
do.
I'll go back to 48,000, what I came up is what you were paying, and I went through probably 3 months in office and showed it, and gave it to the board, said the sheriff's committee, no matter of fact, this is how much they should be paying. Now, that's almost 9 months ago. So, I know, I'm just saying.
The board may have dropped the
So-
ball on that. What is proper, though, is we haven't billed in the past. That's not the right way to do it, according to the account.
We will start billing,
So
we will bill.
we don't mean to put it on you, but it's being shared 3 different ways. You gotta generate 1 bill, the clerk's office is gonna generate 2 other bills. It's just how we handle it. Somehow it didn't get done. Doesn't make it right or wrong, it's just gonna be done this way, because it's the
Again,
right way.
it's not a problem, just like I'm doing Clark County. Send them a bill for what the food bill's gonna be, so, and you'll get the money, and
Right.
hopefully everything will break it even at the end, like it should do.
Or break it off at the end.
Yeah, let's not go there, hopefully. So,
With humor.
I don't know, very little.
So now you're a critic. So is those issues, everybody on the same page with that? Now, as far as this committee that Carl was talking about,
Let me go back, let's bill on 911 though.
okay,
I'm gonna bill them for salaries.
we're not gonna bill them for,
I'm billing for 8 hours of work a day.
right,
I'm gonna bill them for overtime
Right.
if it's needed. I
right,
will bill them for holiday if somebody's off, because that
Right.
means overtime.
right,
So really, holidays not as much as the overtime.
right.
But you'll turn around and bill them for health, or
That-
the benefit part.
That will be taken care
Right.
of the other side. You don't have to worry about IMRF, you don't have to worry about Social Security or any of those other things, because that's already taken care of by court and can't be double billed.
Now,
Okay.
if it comes up, which it does, sometimes you can't fill that chair. So he wants to deduct that money because it's not there. When it comes overtime, I mean, people, we have 2 chairs and one will say, well, you know, I'm just gonna take off. And I know that day they do it sometimes. And I might not be able to fill it. So you're just gonna get billed for the 32 hours instead of, all right.
Until some other agreement is reached.
In that case, I shouldn't, since I've already got the money in the budget to pay that second chair for the rest of this year, and if they don't show up, that's just money saved then, in essence,
Well,
per se.
if we don't bill it, we don't get it in, and if we don't bill it, we didn't pay it, so it's a wash,
So I
right?
don't want to hear that I'm not filling that second chair, is what I'm just saying, because if it can't be filled at the last minute, I can't fill it, so. All right. I'll let you
Until
know.
some other agreement supersedes it. And there's no misunderstanding.
I'm fine with 911.
I can't speak for the rest of the board, but
But I
I
mean,
think
you-
it'd definitely be agreeable. That's all
Sounds
we
fair
ask.
enough to me.
Yeah.
Very
That'll be
fair.
on the agenda for the 911 meeting?
It will be as long as you guys let us know.
And then you'll review with what we discussed here.
And then you'll have to back bill us
Yes. Well,
January 1.
right. Well, December 1. December 1.
Anything else from the committee? If not, public comment.
Yes, I just have one question for
Mention
you, Jeff.
that.
You mentioned the original lease, and then you mentioned the money amounts have been changed. So which money amounts are you talking about?
The lease changed from $1 to $3,000 per month.
I've asked for documentation for that for 4 months, and every answer is there is no updated lease agreement.
I understand that. I'm just
So-
saying that was our understanding, and that's what Carl is working on.
So as it currently stands, there is not an updated lease agreement, and the lease agreement is still $1 a year.
Well, we have been, and until we get this, we'll probably go back and collect $3,000 a month based upon a new agreement, yes. And they're willing, the board is willing to pay it as long as they're billed, so we'll probably continue to collect it, John.
Right.
I mean, I'm just telling you what I think is gonna happen.
It just, it just doesn't make sense to, you don't bill any other department for rent. You don't bill
Well,
the
it
health
allows,
department.
it allows in the law for 911 to pay a lease. In the Attorney General's opinion, it says that they may lease their premises that they dispatch from. Okay? And according to what we've been told, that's why we're gonna go ahead and make sure, things get lost over the years. So what we need to do is make things, or not make things up, but get things right by getting a formal agreement taken care of that's current in replace of reality, so not having been able to find anything. We've had a lot of documents that we have not been able to find when we go to look for them. That's just a fact. Sometimes we're lucky and we found them, and sometimes we haven't. But we need to rectify it by creating a new document that takes care of the agreement.
I've been told that it was an agreement that was made roughly 5 years ago.
It's never in any court, any county board agendas or meeting minutes.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's
We
what
were
I've been
not-
told.
That means it never happened.
Well, the people involved said it happened, but whether any documentation got done, I don't know.
Well, there's other things that have happened that nobody knew about until years later.
But we're trying to rectify it and get
I
it.
understand.
Yeah.
All we
That's
can
all
do
we
is
can
go
do.
forward and correct problems that we have.
I'm curious if, just a hypothetical, some guy, some rich millionaire comes in and says, I'm gonna build you a new jail, and, the building stays where it is, they put it someplace else, so 911 will stay in that building? Is that what, since they got a 99-year lease for a time? I mean, they wouldn't necessarily have to move with the
Wouldn't have
sheriff.
to, I
right?
guess.
When both parties agree,
Right.
you know, they can agree to disagree later on, as long as both parties do.
A 99-year lease for $1 a year is what I think I read.
Well, that's in the original document, yes.
Done, John?
I'm not done, but I'm through for today. Thanks.
I don't recall if in that original lease it referenced utilities, but it was either in minutes or utilities, but a portion of those bills are supposed to be prorated and paid by 911 as well.
Right, and that's what I talked to Carl about as far as administrative fees. Maybe it shouldn't be called administrative fees, it should be called reimbursement for real expenditures or
Right.
utilities and/or insurance, whatever it is, but administrative fees has gotten kind of a bad rap. That's why when we amend the budget, we'll probably rename a couple of these accounts to what they really are, so you can tell when you look at them. Okay?
Well, in regards to the original agreement and the lease agreement, a couple things to think about from a fiduciary responsibility as board members. If I'm sitting on a board and I have an agreement to protect our funds, say 911 funds, and I have in my hand a $1 lease agreement, why in my right mind would I pay any more?
That was the point I was trying to get at.
The other issue in regards to that lease agreement, it was in 2006, according to the records, and I have read every single record to it. It was a motion that was passed at a 911 board meeting that they're going to pay rent for $3,000. When I asked for the minutes of the county board for that same year, all of 2006 minutes were deleted from the computer. That is confirmed through Augie. They were gone. I managed to get a copy of all of 2006. There is no reference anywhere in 2006 minutes of a rent modification or change in that agreement. When I talked to Don Wiseman in regards to that $3,000 coming out, that $3,000 was being utilized to service the bonds on the courthouse.
That is correct.
That is not what that original lease agreement was intended for, and it's not what the rent was for. Those are things that need to be looked at, because that is inappropriate use of the people's money. Period. I don't have anything else.
Just a couple things, I guess I'd like to commend the board. I've been questioning for years why 911 only paid for 8 hours of dispatch when they got dispatched 24 hours a day. As far as filling that second chair, I think I can speak for all the dispatchers. Tim Krippus's policy was that the second chair was not to be filled if it was vacated by vacation or sick time or something. We had to make it a union issue to even be able to fill it on Friday and Saturday nights. That was his policy. We were absolutely told that we could not fill that chair Sunday through Thursday if it was vacated. I think in our defense, as far as not being filled all the time now, that we were still in that mindset that we could not. We know better now. I mean, he was not going to let us fill it at any time, and we had to make it a union issue to at least get it filled on Fridays and Saturdays.
And then it was filled after you.
as much as it could be. There were times when nobody was able to fill it, just like there is now.
Right.
But in our defense and the sheriff's defense, I think we were still operating into that mindset that we could not. We know better now.
Is that all? How about you, Roger?
I'd just like to commend the sheriff for upgrading the jail and painting, maybe not from his own personal doing as far as paint, but having people come in and money contributed and so forth. There's still a long way to go, but it's still, he's attacking the problem. The people on the board, the deputies, everybody, you know, somebody's got to do it. Stand in the hole and stand up and keep going. This country's in a mess. Illinois is a mess. The county's money-wise, and somebody's got to keep doing it. So be brave and stand straight.
Thank you. How about you, Dee?
Just from a 911 standpoint, I agree with Donna on that second chair.
Okay.
It's very important that it be staffed. I mean, and 911 is willing and open to reimburse the county for the cost of that, which was the original agreement.
Okay.
And like I said, with the administrative fees and the rent agreement and this dispatcher reimbursement issue for the second chair, there's nobody that I know of on our board not wanting to work with you on it.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? If not,
Well,
go ahead,
since you
Sheriff.
sort of back that 911 issue, since it's part of the sheriff's office too. I remember February of last year, when I got chastised by the board because I wanted to take a couple pieces of paper off of the console. Got tired of seeing crap everywhere in that office. And not one person on that board decided to say anything except the coordinator and Mr. Reeds. And Mr. Reeds decided to tell everybody that does 911 provide the generator, does 911 provide this, does 911 provide, they built your building, and turned to me and goes, what's a couple pieces of paper? As far as I'm concerned, try to undermine my authority as sheriff, but that not one person on that 911 board could say anything. They just let it go. I haven't forgot that. So, well, hopefully we will be able to work together on 911 as a board member. That's all I got.
Okay. I guess we're adjourned.
Me too.